Well, what I've got here now is some copper sulfate crystals. And here's the chemical copper sulfate. And I put them on a hot plate. And this is going to take a little bit of time. So we're just going to let them sit on the hot plate for a little while. So you can see that. And while that's happening, I'm going to do some other things. And again, we're going to determine whether that is a physical or chemical change. So let me move up. You can see the crystals are blue. And we will come back to this in a little while. For the next example, I've got iron filings inside a test tube, and I hope you can see this. Okay, and I've got a pretty good magnet here, and I'm going to bring this magnet. You see what it does already? It's like magnetizing a piece of metal. If you notice, to magnetize something is just to align them in a certain direction. So if I bring it through, okay, is that a physical or a chemical change? Clearly see something's going on here, but it's still iron filings in a magnet. Nothing new has been formed. So even though I rearrange it, it's still the same thing. Nothing's changed. Okay, let's try another example. Here is water, and I'm just going to add food coloring to the water. Add a few drops of food coloring, and we'll see what happens here. You can see it's spreading through the liquid. So is that a physical or chemical change? Is something new produced? Let's go ahead and stir it. Basically, you see here that the food coloring is all now dissolved in the water. So because of that dissolving process, again, it is a physical change. Nothing new has been produced. You still have water and you still have green food coloring. Another example of a physical or chemical change would be water. Again, this time I have an Alka-Seltzer tablet. I'm going to put it in the water here. And you can see very clearly that there's gas bubbles produced, so that's an indicator of something. We'll let that go for a minute. And it's still bubbling. So while that's happening, let's do one more. What I did is I added some vinegar here, and I put salt in it. And I've got a penny, kind of purposely picked an old dingy penny. I'm going to throw it in there. And we're going to mix this penny around. Now already looking at the penny's much more shiny than it was before. Let's see if you can see that up close here. Okay, we're going to jump back to our copper sulfate crystals so you can see what's going on over here. They're being heated, and you notice they're turning like a whitish, greenish, bluish color. They've definitely changed color. So we'll let that go a little bit longer, and then we'll see what happens to it. Okay, there's our penny. It's much shinier than it was before. Okay. Now, this is not so easy. It did clean the penny, but it's still a penny and there's no copper dissolved or anything. So this is a physical change. Cleaning often is a physical change. It can be chemical, but in this case it's only physical change. Look at our Alka-Seltzer, it's still bubbling away, and that bubble does provide evidence that that is a chemical change. A gas is being produced that wasn't there before. We're going to take our penny one step farther. I'm going to add some hydrogen peroxide to it. Again, we'll swirl it around. Now I added some more salt and some more vinegar. And so we have peroxide, salt, vinegar, and a penny. And I don't know if you can see it clearly, but there are bubbles coming off that penny now. Those bubbles, again, will indicate that a gas is being formed, which means that's a chemical change. In fact, if we leave this long enough, you'll start seeing copper coming out of that. So there's definitely something new being produced in there. Let's come back to that in a minute. We're going to go back to our old friend, the copper crystals. Okay, we're back to our old friend, the copper sulfate crystals, which turned white. And the question is that a chemical or physical change? So we've seen a couple things where color change has been involved. And let's take a look. There's only one way to really find this out. I want you to watch. What I did is I added water, and you notice that it turned blue again. That was the original color. And if we let that sit out, that will crystallize, and the whole thing will become crystals again. But because it returned to its original color, that shows it was just a physical change, not a chemical change. Color then can indicate either a chemical change or a physical change.